Expect the best used car deals guaranteed. Visit arnoldclark.com.
Welcome to Peter and Ruffy's Football Show on this Thursday evening. I'm Peter Martin, absolutely delighted to have your company tonight. Thank you very much for joining us. Alan Ruff and Gordon Smith are with me here in the studio, ready to discuss these topics. Yeah, lots to discuss as ever. Well, this week has been dogged, I think, with a number of issues on the conduct of supporters. So I'm really looking forward to this programme because we get to talk about some wonderful football, some big decisions as well, guys. I think we've got to start with the Champions League. It was absolutely sensational last night. There are some games, Ruffy, that get you jumping out of your chair because you cannot believe what's unfolding. And when you look at the results from last night, as well as the night before, it's just amazing. Ajax hammering Real Madrid in the Bernabeu on the Tuesday. Of course, Tottenham beating Borussia Dortmund. But last night, as well as Porto going through against Roma after extra time, Manchester United 3-1 in Paris.
No, I don't think anybody could have saw that after the game at Man U. I thought they were fantastic that night. The 2 goals they scored were absolutely top class. And to go there and think what you need to do, you know, it looked as if it was just too far. But you have to give them credit to get to where they were before the decision came along.
Yeah, you have to look at the Champions League. It's amazing the number of times there was 4 games, 3 away wins. Like, you know, like 2 of them, probably 3 of them unexpected. I wouldn't even have thought Tottenham were going to win in Dortmund, but then Manchester United to win in Paris.
Yeah,
you know,
I think Dortmund were going to come back from 3 goals down, though.
No, I thought they would win, though. I didn't think they would come back, but I thought Dortmund would win the game, right? But and I saw the first game. Man United were completely outplayed at Old Trafford, and to be fair, last night they were outplayed again last night. But I'll give them credit. You know, that's a sign of a team that's going somewhere and improving when they're actually outplayed and can still win.
I was saying, and wrongly, unfortunately, for the last 2 years in the Champions League, I thought we were coming to an end of an era of the big clubs dominating the Champions League. I thought some of them were beginning to not just disintegrate a wee bit. You know, it never happened last year, but I think this year we're now seeing it, that the big clubs are not the force that we all thought they were. Obviously, Barcelona are still there, you know, but the big ones, I thought Paris Saint-Germain were always threatening to do it.
Yeah.
But like I said, obviously Man United, Tottenham, you know, that are winning now, you know, obviously Barcelona are still there. But it might be, this year might be the year that one of the less known teams would win it.
Yeah, well, I have to say, the VAR decision was the turning point right in the 90th minute. I think it went to 98, 99 minutes eventually once they'd made the decision on it. I thought it was harsh on Paris Saint-Germain, although I was delighted they went out.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I thought it was a poor decision. There's no way that that should have been given. The player has turned his back. His arms just slightly moved up in the air, but that's because he's jumping high, and that generally happens when you're jumping. Your arm has to go up. His back's to the ball. I thought it was a harsh decision, which I don't think should have been given. Yeah.
Nevertheless, a decision at least that you could call from the source of the people in the studio looking at it, the VAR, and then the referee to have a look at it as well. We conducted a poll this morning. It was 58% said no, it wasn't a penalty kick, but nevertheless, it was the deciding factor. It took such a long time, Ruffy. Fair play to Marcus Rashford. He waited and kept his cool.
Yeah, and I mean, he struck the ball really well. You know, there was for a moment, I thought Buffon was going to get his hand to it, because initially when you see it, I thought it was right into the corner, but it wasn't. It was in sort of at arm's reach of Buffon, but he struck it so hard that it was a great.
That was a pressure. I mean, you very rarely get as much pressure on a penalty as that one was. That's to put his team through into the next
Even the referee moving the ball out of the spot.
Yeah.
You know, moving it back. No, you need to move it back a wee bit more. No, I want it right in the middle.
And obviously some of the Paris players were trying to put him off as well.
Yeah.
By going in and all that. There was a
kidology there.
Yeah.
I'm no surprise that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer still staying tight-lipped on whether he's going to get the job full time.
Well, it's been a fantastic time with the players, with the staff I've got working with me. So I've just got to say I'm going to enjoy this job as long as I've got it. If it's another 2 months or 3 months, whatever long it is, I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to smile. When you're a coach or a manager doing it with your staff and with the players, the dressing room in there was absolutely unbelievable. And just to see the whole club together with the owners, ex-managers, ex-players, great atmosphere. I didn't see it. I'm not seeing the video. I hope it's the right decision. I tried to help the referee as well to calm my staff down, just sit down, because there's nothing we can do about it anyway. So I hope it's the right decision, and they say that, so probably was.
Yeah, I'll be gobsmacked if he doesn't get the Man United job on a full-time basis. OK, that's Champions League for you. Other news today, especially around Scottish football. The Scotland manager Alex McLeish has warned the players not to back out if they're called up. Now, this is an interesting one because I'm looking at the fixtures and the teams most affected. Celtic play Dundee, but the squad is due to fly out on that day. Liverpool play Fulham, so that involves Andy Robertson as well. Kazakhstan versus Scotland, San Marino, Scotland, 21st and 24th. It's a big call from Alex McLeish, Gordon. I don't think Celtic will be conceding too many of those players to friendlies.
I don't think so. Not in the friendlies, they won't. I don't think that, because the most important thing from Celtic's point of view just now, with Neil Lennon just in the job, but he'll want to win the championship this year. So they won't want to be giving anything away. I know that most people would say, well, they should be able to beat Dundee with a lesser team, mainly reserves. But I think at that stage of the tournament, in the league sort of thing, I think he'll want his players there.
Yeah, absolutely. OK, it's one of those debates. You can give us your thoughts on it on social media, on Twitter and, of course, YouTube and Facebook as well. Thanks very much to everyone joining us. To Jim, hi. Adam Stafford said the Champions League would have been a lot more exciting if Celtic were still in it. Well, when you consider what Ajax spent and what Celtic spent, it would be, there's certainly no argument on why they can't develop their own players. So from there to another body blow that we mentioned last night, Ruffy, suddenly Stephen Naismith finds himself out for 8 to 10 weeks. He's going to have to get a knee operation. That is a body blow to Hearts.
Not only a body blow to Hearts, but a body blow to the player, particularly at his age. He's already had an operation already earlier on, and now to get another one in his knee, And I think the older you get, the more difficult it is to recover for them and get back to the level that you're at. And he certainly is at a good level just now. He's been the best player for Hearts since he went there. So yes, a team, he's going to be sadly missed.
It's amazing how something like that can affect, not only, Ruffy's right, your thoughts go to the player, but there were suggestions that MLS clubs were interested in him. Hearts wanted to offer him a deal. I had the feeling that he might have swayed towards staying with Hearts. He doesn't seem to be a boy driven by, money. I think he's made his money in the game.
Well, absolutely, and he does a lot for charity too, doesn't he? He gives money to charity. So I think he's a key player for Hearts. Ruffy's right that he's a player who, when he wasn't playing, Hearts suffered greatly from it. He's a player who actually can play just off the front. The old number 10, we call it nowadays, is somebody who can actually create as well as score goals. So I think, they're going to miss him really between now and the end of the season. Yeah,
it totally changes the way they play, Ruffy. I think for me, he's been one of the, if you were looking at picking a team of the season, he would be in there for me. I mean, up front along with Morelos, unless anybody else can come up with a forward that would displace those two.
Yeah.
No, we all talk about players in a team that not only influence everybody on the park but off the park as well. I would expect him going about the dressing room, motivating people before the game, younger players looking up to him for what he's done in the game. And that's another aspect that you're going to miss as well, apart from actually playing on the park.
Yeah.
Okay, give us your reaction to that if you're a Hearts fan and you are mourning the loss of Stephen Naismith for the next, 8 to 10 weeks. We shall find out if he's got a future at Hearts over the next couple of months. I've got to give a mention to John Pollock. He's watching the programme in Washington, no less. That's how far afield we've got people covering the show and staying with us. And you might have the answer to this quiz, John. We were talking on this programme all over the course of the week about fan conduct, and I never thought we'd actually still be talking about Brendan Rodgers, but as if to add insult to injury in this and salt in the wounds, apart from some unwarranted and uncalled for abuse that he's received, Brendan Rodgers goes down to Leicester City and then he has to go through the phone call which basically said that his house has been burgled, and I think there was a real worry for his family in the house at the time. Gordon, I mean, where are we going with this?
It's such a shame. I also think it's been a bit over the top, the criticism he's had. I know Celtic fans will be a bit disappointed him leaving.
Yeah.
But the fact is, why are they disappointed? Because he was so successful for them.
Yeah.
So he's actually offered Celtic a lot. He's given them so much. He's decided to leave at this stage. But I don't think that they should be feeling that way so much about him. Disappointment, but not hatred towards him.
Yeah, I agree with you, Gordon. But remember this, and this is the where you need to strike a balance on it. There may well be people who've been over the top with their criticism, but there are also a greater amount of people who've been balanced in their viewpoint over the Brendan Rodgers situation, not abusive. I think what we do, Ruffy, in the 21st century, especially with social media, it's almost as if the loudest voice it's sometimes the most moronic and vitriolic and people filled with hatred that gets the platform, rather than people have just offered a balanced view on why certain Celtic fans would not look upon his departure in a positive way, but the abusive ones seem to be catching all the headlines.
Yeah, the abusive ones are the ones that we don't want to hear from. And Gordon's right, if you look at supporters, particularly, I'm just saying Rangers and Celtic, most of the supporters, that's their life. It's their release on a Saturday to go to games. And if somebody comes to the club and says, I'm here for life and all that stuff, and
I don't think he said for life.
Not life, but the kind of quotes that they throw out, this is my dream job, that's why some supporters feel a wee bit let down when they come out with that. But there's two reasons. He's obviously went because he saw it as a stepping stone to get back into the top club in England, and that's the reason he went. So I can see why Celtic supporters are disappointed, but not that hatred stuff, nothing.
Yeah, and I think Brendan, to his credit, has put it all in perspective today when he was talking about it and asked the question about, obviously, the abuse and the burglary.
No, it's obviously something that's not nice to, for any sort of family to go through, of course. As I said, it gave the girls a fright. However, I think the only thing I want to say on it is that probably the last 10 days there's been a lot around my move to here, and obviously the events of the last couple of days. But I don't want to detract from, we had an amazing time as a family in Scotland, and Glasgow in particular. The people there were amazing. The experiences that we had there on and off the field will live with us, and we're not going to let something like this here or some of the reaction of the last 10 days cloud any of that. So yeah, we've dealt with it. There's been a great support out there for us, and like I say, they're both fine and safe, which is important.
Off the back of that, Rangers manager Steven Gerrard has been talking this morning about fans basically causing trouble, and it's tarnishing the reputation of Scottish football. This is what he had to say on it. We don't want to get into a situation where people are talking about what is coming from the stands and talking about the bad side of the game. It's not nice to see from the side. It is poor behaviour, and we need to stamp it out. I have been very clear about the behaviour of all sets of supporters. Good words there from Steven Gerrard again, because quite simply the conduct of the fans is getting all the headlines, front and back pages at the moment.
It is, I can understand why he's saying it. 'Cause I think everyone who has got any, enjoyment and a place in the game in Scotland would look at that and say that is a very negative thing that we're having to go through, and we want to see it cut out. And I think that everywhere, if it's been more and more talked about, I don't think there's anything wrong with discussing it and bringing it to attention of people, because it's still there, and until we get rid of it, then we're not going to change people's attitudes until we address their behaviour and improve their behaviour.
Yeah, Thomas McKenna on Facebook says, if crowd trouble keeps up, do you think players should refuse to play or go on strike? I'm not too sure that's at the top end of the ladder on this. I think that the real problem coming our way, Ruffy, is when politicians start to take control of what is happening in this situation.
Yeah, and that's why all the clubs are out there actively, putting their place in order. That's the first thing they've got to do. They've got to be seen to be active enough to go along with the rules. I keep repeating myself. I just think it's the punishment. I think fans need to be seen that these people are being punished, and the sooner we get it out there that they are being punished, and it's in the papers. This guy has done this. This is what he's getting. If it's 6 months, 9 months, or whatever, and surely, these people will let it sink in that this is what's going to happen to them.
Yeah, well, interestingly enough, Kevin Clark says if clubs can't control the fans inside the stadium, the SFA should start deducting points and closing parts of the ground. Now, Gordon, you're a former SFA chief executive. What do you think is the next step that should be taken to really try and get a firm grip on this? What would you be suggesting?
Well, we did discuss it when I was there, and the clubs wanted to deal with it themselves, but I think that now has come the situation. First and foremost, I've made my point very clear about the bad the singing and the chanting of the fans in large groups should be dealt with by the SFA, and they should be coming down very hard on teams and saying, if your fans don't stop this, then we're going to deduct you points, right? But the other aspect of it is a matter is either for the club to decide on, if it's guys who are maybe throwing bottles or coins, whatever, and you can identify these people, the club deal with it. If it turns out to be something they're doing that's unlawful, they then give the details and the photographs that they've got to the police.
Would you close a stand or force a match to be played behind closed doors if a club can't control their supporters?
Only if not just if a club couldn't control it, if you found that the club weren't the groups, large groups of fans, not individual action. People who do stupid things like throwing coins and all that, these are things that should be dealt with individual, and you shouldn't be then closing a stand. But if you say that the fans continue to chant or make these songs which are seen as I would say just they shouldn't be doing it. I mean that they're not the kind of things we get at football matches. Then, if that continues, despite all the punishment they're getting, the next stage is to close the stand and stop the fans being there.
OK, to football on the park tomorrow night, Easter Road. It's Hibs against Rangers. Ruffy, I'm going to make the journey through there. I've seen your old club more than you've seen them this season, Ruffy. This one has got the makings of a cracker. In fact, the two games, Friday and Saturday, Celtic against Aberdeen, Hibs Rangers, you couldn't ask for two tougher games for the Glasgow clubs.
No, and this is the ones that you judge yourself on, where you are. If Rangers and Celtic go to Easter Road, if they go to Tynecastle, if they go to Pittodrie and they win, doesn't matter what kind of run you're on. That's the one that you'll be judged on, particularly where you want to achieve your season. Yeah,
well, Rangers are unbeaten in 10 games, Gordon.
Yeah.
Morelos, he scored 7 goals. He's got 28 in total. I mean, I think it's 7 in the last 4 games. So.
Yeah, I mean, in good form. I didn't think they were particularly good against Aberdeen in the Cup. Prior to that, they'd scored, obviously I think it was 14 goals prior to that in 3 matches without losing a goal. But against, although it was a penalty they lost to Aberdeen, to be fair, I didn't think they were at the best. So they need to lift their game. They'll know that Hibs have improved a bit. Celtic did well to beat them last weekend in the Cup. But this is a game that Rangers are going to have to look to see if they're going to continue their challenge, which a lot of people say there isn't a challenge. But you never know, if points are dropped along the line, that can come back. This is a game they have to win. Yeah,
and if Hibs think they're going to win this one, they'll be looking to Mark McNulty. 6 goals in the last 5 games. He's been a good signing.
Yeah, he certainly has. I mean, everybody was looking at Canberra to be the main striker, but obviously he's the guy who's turned up.
Yeah, absolutely. Ruffy, the great thing about you wearing that particular shirt that you've got at the moment is it looks as if you're one of our computer games strobing away there. Everybody will love. You've started a fan base on here about people looking at what you're wearing now. Right. He did have his similar jumper from last night, but he decided to take it off once we gave him pelters when he came in. Just out of curiosity, Ruffy, we've had 2 great nights of Champions League football. Real Madrid out at the hands of Ajax, Paris Saint-Germain out. Do you get the sneaky feeling that Atletico Madrid, this could be their year?
Yeah, well, they'll certainly blow the pants off you if you get the final. They're very, very difficult to defeat, good defensively, but I think Juve will still have something to say about that.
Yeah. There's still big teams in it. I mean, I know you said earlier on that there's maybe we're going to find one of the smaller teams, but there's none of them are really small teams, are they?
Yeah. Okay. Who did you pick?
To win Barcelona.
Okay, there you are. He's really put his neck out in the line, hasn't he? Anyway, I think you'll be there or thereabouts. Yeah. Thanks to Ruffy and to Gordon. No strobing on Gordon's shirt because it's at least 150 quid dearer than Ruffy's. Anyway, on that note, don't forget to join us Monday to Friday on The Football Show.
Expect the best used car deals guaranteed. Visit arnoldclark.com.